When my best friend's fiancé came to my salon for a haircut, I immediately noticed patches of hair loss on both sides of his scalp, along with fine scales and red spots on his arms. Growing up with both parents as doctors, I was exposed to medical knowledge from a young age, and I instantly recognized that it was likely syphilitic alopecia. I quickly reminded my clueless best friend, who had never taken premarital checkup seriously, to get re-examined as soon as possible. When the results came back, her face turned pale, and she grabbed my hand, trembling. "Thank goodness I'm still in the latent stage and can be treated. If it weren't for your timely reminder, my life would have been ruined. I'm breaking off the engagement with him right now." I thought I had done a good deed and would be rewarded, but to my surprise, my best friend turned around and confessed to the scumbag that I was the one who had alerted her. Not only did she want to break off the engagement, but she also planned to expose him. The disgraced scumbag blamed everything on me. He first kidnapped me into the basement, infected me with his dirty disease, and then locked me up for a whole month, causing me to miss the optimal time for taking preventive medication. By the time I was rescued after contracting the disease, I was already living a life worse than death, crying every day. My best friend took the opportunity to spread rumors to my boyfriend, claiming that I had seduced the scumbag and brought it upon myself. My boyfriend dumped me because of this, and within 3 months, he married my best friend. Heartbroken and disillusioned, I slit my wrists. Upon hearing the tragic news, my parents fell ill one after another and passed away not long after. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day I noticed the patches of hair loss on my best friend's fiancé's scalp. Wang Yao's excited voice rang in my ears. "When it comes to haircuts, no one does it better than my best friend in the whole wide world. Jingjing, honey, you have to give Jingjing a big red envelope later. First, to thank her for making you look so handsome and giving me so much face. Second, to praise her for turning down a high-paying offer from a female celebrity getting married on the same day as us, insisting on styling for her best friend instead. That's what I call loyalty." Wang Yao's voice snapped me out of my daze. I stared blankly at her excited face as she chattered away, dancing around while taking photos of her fiancé, Chao Hui, with her phone. I immediately realized I had been reborn. I quickly glanced at the patches of hair loss on both sides of Chao Hui's scalp and the faint scales and red spots on his arms. It was exactly the moment I had first discovered he had syphilitic alopecia. I immediately put down the scissors in my hand, washed my hands with foam, and carefully wiped them with a wet wipe. Wang Yao looked at me, puzzled, and asked, "Jingjing, what's wrong? Just now, you were discussing with us how to have fun at the pre-wedding party next month, and now you've suddenly gone quiet." I snapped back to reality, quickly adjusted my expression, and said, "Sorry, I accidentally pricked my hand while putting away the scissors just now. It distracted me for a moment." Wang Yao gently kissed Chao Hui's face and scalp while joking with me. "Our celebrity hairstylist actually pricked herself with scissors. Let me call your boyfriend for you and ask him to get off work early to take you out for something delicious." As soon as Wang Yao mentioned my boyfriend, Zhu Liming, more memories from my past life flooded into my mind like a branding iron. Back then, as the haircut was nearing its end, I noticed the patches of hair loss on both sides of Chao Hui's scalp and the red spots on his arms. Given his profession as a public relations specialist, alarm bells immediately went off in my head. Without caring that Chao Hui was still in my salon, I quickly made up an excuse and took Wang Yao to the second-floor lounge. I lowered my voice and said to her, "Yao Yao, your fiancé has patches of hair loss on his scalp. 99% chance it's syphilitic alopecia. Didn't you say earlier that the results of your self-funded premarital checkup still haven't come out? I advise you to go to the hospital for another check as soon as possible. Trust me, both my parents are doctors. I've been exposed to medical knowledge since childhood and can recognize some symptoms." Wang Yao froze for a moment, but in the end, she chose to believe me. Back in college, we went on a group tour to Yunnan together. The pale-faced tour guide repeatedly assured us that the mushroom soup was safe, but I insisted on not eating it and pulled Wang Yao away. Sure enough, by midnight, everyone on the bus except Wang Yao and me ended up in the hospital. Remembering that incident, Wang Yao's expression turned awkward. After all, Chao Hui, who was quite good-looking, was someone she had pursued for 2 years, but in the end, she took my hand and said with determination, "Jingjing, I believe you. I'll go to the hospital for a checkup right away." Later, Wang Yao found out from her checkup that she was in the latent stage of syphilis. She also obtained the real premarital checkup report, which revealed that Chao Hui was already in the tertiary stage of syphilis. which explained the syphilitic alopecia that looked as if it had been gnawed by insects. She immediately called off the engagement with Chao Hui, demanding not only the return of the 1 million yuan dowry but also compensation for her treatment costs. Chao Hui, of course, refused. Wang Yao's family was clearly better off financially than Chao Hui's. Her family had prepared a dowry of 1 million yuan, while Chao Hui's family had only offered 80,000 yuan in betrothal gifts. With no other choice, Wang Yao dragged me into the situation, threatening to expose Chao Hui if he didn't agree to cancel the engagement and compensate her for the treatment costs. Unable to come up with the money, Chao Hui decided to go all out. After being exposed by Wang Yao, he blamed everything on me. First, he kidnapped me and took me to an abandoned factory, infecting me with the disease. Then, he imprisoned me for a month, causing me to miss the best window for preventive medication and treatment. After I was rescued, I felt worse than dead. Crying every day, Wang Yao took the opportunity to spread rumors to my boyfriend, claiming that I had seduced Chao Hui, ruined their marriage, and contracted the disease, all of which, she said, was my own fault. My boyfriend, Zhu Liming, believed the rumors and promptly dumped me. 3 months later, he even married Wang Yao, who wore the same wedding dress. Devastated, I slit my wrists and died. My parents, who had to bury their child, passed away from illness not long after. Coming back to my senses, I realized I had dug my nails into my wrist until it bled. Compared to the suffering of my past life, this pain was nothing. I took a deep breath. Since fate had given me a second chance, in this life, I would make sure Wang Yao, Chao Hui, and Zhu Liming paid the price they deserved. Wang Yao didn't even notice my days and had already dialed Zhu Liming's number for me. As soon as the call connected, Zhu Liming's voice came through. "What's up, Yao Yao?" Wang Yao deliberately raised her voice. "Your girlfriend misses you so much that she stabbed her hand while cutting hair. Aren't you going to hurry over and comfort her?" I couldn't hear what Zhu Liming said next, nor did I want to. I just rolled my eyes at Wang Yao, turned around, picked up a broom, and started sweeping up the hair on the floor. Perfect, while she was busy chatting nonsense with that trash boyfriend who abandoned me in my past life. I saved myself the trouble of figuring out how to warn her about the problems with the man in front of her. Just now, when Chao Hui was admiring his new hairstyle in the mirror, he suddenly paused and asked me, "Hey, Li Jingjing, did you cut my hair too short on the left side here? It feels a bit weird." I casually brushed him off, saying it was just the styling, and even showed him a photo of a popular male celebrity with the same hairstyle. Whether he knew he was already sick or not, I couldn't bring it up again at this moment, so, while pretending to be busy, I kept an eye on Wang Yao's side. After finishing the call, Wang Yao said to me, "Your boyfriend has to go on a business trip unexpectedly and won't be back for about 2 weeks, just in time for my wedding. You two should come together then, and make sure to give me a big red envelope." On the surface, I smiled, but inside, I was rolling my eyes. Still, I went along with her and found an excuse to send both her and Chao Hui away. After they left, I immediately closed the shop, hired a full house cleaning service, and thoroughly disinfected the entire place. My hair salon, which cost 60,000 yuan a month in rent, was completely redone from the floor to the mirror stands. I even threw away the scissors and towels I used on Chao Hui, as well as the chairs he and Wang Yao sat on. Of course, I had no intention of attending their wedding. I quickly booked myself a 10-day trip to Europe, leaving a week before Wang Yao's wedding. Then, I hypocritically sent her an apology message on WeChat, explaining that I had a last-minute professional training and couldn't do her hair or deliver my blessings in person. Wang Yao was clearly unhappy, not only accusing me of standing her up at the last minute but also asking how much money I'd send in the red envelope if I couldn't make it. I sneered at my phone. Dream on if she thought she'd get a red envelope from me. I blocked her, turned off my phone, and refused all her harassment. Only after her wedding did I leisurely return to China. On the plane, sipping orange juice and looking at the calendar, I calculated how soon I'd get to see this syphilitic couple fall ill. The first thing I did after returning home was to break up with Zhu Liming. Zhu Liming looked utterly confused. "Li Jingjing, what's gotten into you? It's one thing to not answer calls or reply to WeChat messages for over 10 days while you were away, and even miss your best friend's wedding, but do you have any idea how awkward it was for me to attend the wedding alone on your behalf? I haven't even settled that with you yet, and you're the one bringing up a breakup." I pushed all his luggage to the doorway and stared at him coldly. "Did I ask you to go on my behalf? You were the one rushing to lick their boots." For someone who's already registered and married, you gave a gift of 88,888 yuan. How generous of you. Anyone who didn't know better would think it was your own wedding. Zhu Liming immediately stammered. I was just trying to save face for you. I love you. And I wanted you to stand out in your friend's gift registry. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Love me. In the 10+ days I was gone, did you contact my parents even once? Did you file a police report? If you love me, have you ever given me a gift worth more than 10,000 yuan? If you love me, in the 2 years we've lived together in a 6,000 yuan month apartment, have you ever paid a single cent for rent or utilities? Zhu Liming's face flushed instantly, but he still tried to argue. Isn't it because you earn more than me, and your family is better off than mine? You never said anything about it before. Besides, I often take you out for good food. People have feelings, and just because I didn't say anything doesn't mean I didn't care, especially when I saw him spend half a year's salary on a gift for Wang Yao, and Wang Yao even posted it on her social media to show off. That was the final straw. What broke me was realizing how foolish I had been in my past life, completely oblivious to the flirtatious exchanges between Wang Yao and Zhu Liming. What broke me even more was that I had ended up with such an ungrateful person like Zhu Liming. Besides hating him for abandoning me without hesitation in my past life after I was forced to contract the disease, I hated even more how he treated me with indifference in our daily lives. Where love lies, money follows. That saying couldn't be more accurate. Zhu Liming never loved me, and I finally understand that now. I'm grateful for this second chance at life, which allowed me to see the truth earlier and gave me the opportunity for revenge. Before closing the door, I corrected him one last time. The so-called good food you took me to was mostly what you alone considered good, and 2/3 of it ended up in your stomach. Isn't it only right that you pay for the meals? How is that comparable to the rent and utilities I've been covering all along? And as for your messy affair with Wang Yao, I haven't even settled that with you yet. You're the one trying to hold me accountable. Let me say it one last time, we're breaking up. Stay out of my sight. From now on, or next time we meet, I won't be this polite. After confirming through the peephole that Zhu Liming had left with his luggage, I immediately called a locksmith company to schedule an appointment to replace all the locks in my home with electronic locks equipped with security systems. Just as I hung up the phone, I took a bottle of cold water from the refrigerator and was slowly sipping it when Wang Yao's WeChat message arrived. Jingjing, why have you been ignoring me for so long? You even blocked me on your moments. I heard from Liming that you broke up with him because he gave me a gift of over 80,000 yuan. Don't be so dramatic. If it bothers you, I can just transfer it back to you. Besides, there's nothing between Liming and me, really. I'm already a married woman. How could I possibly covet my best friend's boyfriend? What's more, my husband and I are practically inseparable now, and we're even planning to have a baby. I never got the premarital checkup results, so I was hoping you could accompany me to the hospital for a checkup. Or ask your aunt to help me book an appointment with that famous Dr. Zhang in the gynecology department at her hospital. Otherwise, I really don't want to queue up early in the morning on an empty stomach for blood and urine tests. Wang Yao really has no medical knowledge at all. For pre-pregnancy checkups, she should be going to the reproductive medicine department. While gynecology is just for routine women's health exams, she's now infected with syphilis, and it's uncertain whether it would even be detected in a gynecology exam. But I don't want her to discover it and start treatment so early. The suffering I endured in my past life, she must taste it too. Besides, what does her premarital checkup have to do with me? Why should I accompany her, and why should my mom, a pediatrician, help her book an appointment with a specialist? Is the baby being born for my family? Of course, I won't help her anymore, but I still need to reply to her to keep her from rushing to the hospital on her own. I replied, Dr. Zhang's specialist appointments are really hard to book. Even if my mom helps, even if the hospital director steps in personally, the earliest slot would be next month. Dr. Zhang is highly skilled, but he's also very rigid. Unless it's an emergency, all patients have to follow the standard procedure. Why don't you go back to the place where you had your premarital checkup and see if they can help? As soon as I sent the message, Wang Yao sent an angry voice message. What kind of lousy specialist is that, putting on airs with me? Without him, can't I get pregnant and have a baby? I'm not going to that hospital anymore. Once I'm pregnant, I'll go straight to the top hospital in Beijing for prenatal care and delivery. My husband said he has connections there, much more reliable than the doctors at our local hospital. I couldn't help but laugh. The highest hospital tier in China is Class 3A, and there's no such thing as Class 3 Special. Although my parents' hospital is Class 3B, it's still one of the top 10 hospitals in the province. Holding back my laughter, I went along with her. Yes, yes, wherever you go for medical care, it has to be the highest tier. You already went to a VIP hospital for your premarital checkup, so for prenatal care, it goes without saying, you should go straight to Beijing. Wang Yao, completely missing the sarcasm, thought I was genuinely praising her and immediately perked up. Exactly, my best friend gets me. Alright, I forgive you for missing my wedding because of your professional training. Gotta go now. I need to pack for my honeymoon trip with my husband. After hanging up, Wang Yao quickly posted a photo on her social media of her rushing to the airport. In the photo, white spots and faint red patches had already appeared on her face. Beside her, Chao Hui's hair was thinning and patchy, and his eye sockets seemed slightly sunken. Wang Yao even added a particularly amusing caption. It seems fate really favors me. Just when I didn't want to wear makeup but still wanted to look beautiful, rose petals appeared on my face, and my husband, with his buzz cut, looks so handsome. He perfectly matches my fantasy of the ultimate bad boy protagonist from romance novels. Grateful for everything. Looking at that post, I couldn't help but give it a like. It seems Wang Yao's syphilis infection has already progressed to the secondary stage, and Chao Hui's condition is even more severe. A month later, this syphilis couple finally went to war. Wang Yao discovered that Chao Hui had been secretly meeting a lover under the guise of a business trip and confronted him at his company. What pushed her over the edge was that Chao Hui's affair partner was actually a man. Wang Yao went berserk on the spot. I spent 2 years groveling for you, even when my family objected. I still married you with a million yuan dowry and a house. Now I'm pregnant, breaking out in rashes every day and vomiting until there's nothing left but bile, and this is how you treat me. If you were cheating with a woman, fine. But a man, you're insulting me. I'm going to abort the baby this afternoon. Wang Yao had just finished scolding him and, without waiting for Chao Hui to explain, stormed off to the hospital to prepare for an abortion. However, during the preoperative checkup, it was discovered that she had already progressed to the 3rd stage of syphilis. Wang Yao simply couldn't believe it and kept repeating, "But I've always been so careful about hygiene." The doctor sighed helplessly and told her that syphilis can be transmitted through blood and sexual contact. It is a chronic systemic disease with a long course and severe consequences, potentially affecting the central nervous system and multiple organs. If syphilis is contracted during pregnancy, it is highly likely to have already been transmitted to the fetus. At this point, having an abortion would cause irreversible damage to the mother's body and could even make it impossible for her to conceive in the future. The doctor advised Wang Yao to consider conservative treatment, keep the child, and actively cooperate with the treatment. Finally, the doctor asked Wang Yao, who was completely stunned, "Didn't you undergo premarital and pre-pregnancy checkups?" Wang Yao, filled with regret and her voice trembling, replied, "I was too careless. Doctor, please help me get an abortion." Just then, Chao Hui rushed to the hospital and shouted, "Don't you dare abort my child. I'm your husband, and without my signature, you can't touch my child." Many hospitals, to avoid medical disputes, do require family members to sign before surgery. Additionally, given that an abortion at this stage would cause significant harm to both Wang Yao and the fetus, the doctor also advised her to reconsider. Wang Yao pounded her stomach and yelled at Chao Hui, "You infected me with this disease, and you still have the nerve to ask me to have your child. I want a divorce." Chao Hui quickly stepped forward and hugged her, whispering soothingly, "Baby, I'm sorry. I was also infected against my will, and I swear to you, there was no one else. No men, no women. At first, I thought I got infected while accompanying a client to a hot spring, and I was afraid to tell you because I didn't want you to worry. But looking back, I think I was infected on the day Li Jingjing cut my hair. She gave me a spiky haircut, and I felt uncomfortable touching the sides of my scalp. I asked her about it, but she immediately changed the subject. I looked it up. Diseases can be transmitted through blood on haircutting tools. If you don't believe me, you can check the photos you took of me that day." Wang Yao sniffled and pulled out her phone. After looking at the photos, she suddenly seemed to understand everything. It was Li Jingjing. "They say you should guard against fire, theft, and your best friend, she was jealous that I found a handsome boyfriend, so she wanted to ruin us. Oh, and I just remembered, didn't she say her hand got pricked that day? She must have infected you with the scissors first, and then you passed it to me. How could I be so unlucky?" On my way to work the next day, Auntie Lu from the breakfast stall, who usually greeted me with a smile, immediately put on a mask and double-layered plastic gloves before handing me the steamed buns. After taking them, I coldly placed them back. Uncle Wang, the cobbler at the corner, was even more direct. Without even looking up, he spat to the side and cursed. Ugh, what a filthy, unlucky woman. I frowned on the spot. Who are you calling filthy? Uncle Wang shrank back at my question. Just as I was about to press further, my assistant called. Jingjing, where are you? The assistant urgently said. A lot of customers who used to get their hair cut here are at the shop and trance. They're all holding medical checkup reports and demanding compensation from you. I quickly jogged back to the barbershop. As soon as I entered, brother who had been getting his hair cut by me for nearly 2 years, flung his medical report at me. Li Jingjing, you trash with syphilis spreading it everywhere, reimburse my checkup fees right now, and pay for my future hospital stays too. Several female customers nearby also shoved their reports in front of me. Hello, we've been coming here for haircuts, perms, and dye jobs. There's a post online saying you're sick and intentionally infecting customers, so we all went for checkups. Even though the results were negative, you should still reimburse the checkup fees, right? After hearing this, I immediately took out my phone. Sure enough, several trending topics were already on the hot search list. Hashtag internet famous hairstylist Li Jingjing infects customers with syphilis and AIDS using scissors. Hashtag scissorhands Li Jingjing deserves no mercy. Hashtag. The accompanying photo showed Wang Yao, with a swollen belly and a face covered in red patches, crying, while Chao Hui stood beside her, bald with his face and scalp already festering. The comments section was in complete chaos. Some cursed, internet celebrities really are mostly trash, others said, people like her should be taken down, while some lamented in anguish. She was one of the few hairstylists who actually listened to customers and cut hair even better than expected. How could this happen? I immediately called the police, contacted a lawyer friend to secure the evidence chain for these defamatory posts, and then returned to the shop to export the barbershop surveillance footage I had backed up long ago. I didn't come back to life for nothing. Over the past month, I've had nightmares almost every night, dreaming of myself and my parents being killed in my past life, so I couldn't just sit back and wait. I had already prepared all the evidence and tools I needed to protect myself in advance. I just never expected that Wang Yao and Chao Hui would actually pin the blame for spreading syphilis directly on me. I was so angry I almost wanted to laugh, but I didn't lose my temper at the people demanding reimbursement at the shop and trance. Instead, I calmly suggested we all go to the police station together to file a report. If they wanted to make a scene, they could do it at the police station. If they wanted to sue me, that was fine too. But first, they had to provide evidence proving what disease I had infected them with and how I had done it. As soon as the female customers heard we were going to the police station, they immediately backed off, finding it too troublesome. Only brother who still followed me with a self-righteous attitude. After giving my statement and completing the filing at the police station, I immediately went to the hospital for a comprehensive checkup. I then posted my all-negative test results on my social media account and directly tagged Wang Yao and Chao Hui. Was spreading rumors fun? Remember to go to the police station this afternoon to give your statements, and wait for the lawyer's letter. Immediately after, I anonymously submitted a post to a gossip public account, sharing the photos I had someone secretly take of Wang Yao and Zhu Liming checking into a hotel during the days I was abroad, with suggestive blurring added. Those photos quickly went viral and trended online. Netizens followed the clues and soon uncovered Zhu Liming's account. Zhu Liming, who had always claimed he never used Weibo or Xiaohongshu, had quietly documented in his account how he developed feelings for his girlfriend's best friend, how he repeatedly met Wang Yao behind his girlfriend's back, and how he begged Wang Yao not to get married. After Wang Yao got married, he even underwent plastic surgery and muscle building, all in the hopes of convincing Wang Yao to divorce and be with him. I was as shocked as the netizens. But it wasn't until I scrolled to his first post from a year ago that I finally understood the reason. I met someone who looks exactly like my late first love. I will make up for the love I had for my first love through her. Soon after, netizens also uncovered that Zhu Liming had contracted syphilis. His latest post read, "What should I do if I have syphilis?" The comments section quickly shifted in tone. Some said, "So the ones with syphilis are these 3 geniuses." Others sarcastically remarked, "What should you do if you have syphilis? Get treated. If it can't be treated, start thinking about which direction to kowtow in and pray for medical technology to advance quickly." Others left comments on my account. Finally, I can feel at ease going to the popular hairstylist Li Jingjing to dye my hair. someone with such impeccable taste like her could never have such a disease. The biggest stain in her life is probably having dated an ex-boyfriend who was into substitute literature. Sis, be more careful and focus on your career. To support you, I'm going to get a membership card. I always wondered why that crazy couple didn't report it to the police. Turns out they were spreading rumors. Li Jingjing was the first to report it and submit evidence. She's tough. At the same time, Chao Hui's past as a male escort was also exposed. It turned out that his previous client was a big-shot producer in the film and television industry who owned several companies. That man later got into a property dispute with his ex-wife, even storming her company to seize the official seal. 2 years later, he was imprisoned for embezzlement. Chao Hui lost his patron and could no longer sustain his extravagant lifestyle and high spending, so he turned to finding his next target. Coincidentally, Wang Yao appeared, and he happened to want a respectable family and children, so he married her. However, he had long been a carrier of syphilis, which had only recurred before the wedding and was transmitted to Wang Yao. Wang Yao later passed the disease to Zhu Liming during their affair. Fortunately, although Zhu Liming was my boyfriend, we hadn't been intimate for almost a year by then. During that time, he had just met Wang Yao and had started frequently telling me he had no interest in that aspect of our relationship. At the time, I even felt somewhat relieved, as it saved me from having to keep up the act. Now, I've come to fully understand, never put any man on a pedestal. Now, Wang Yao finally realized that the husband she had pursued for 2 years was a diseased, drug-addicted scoundrel. She cried and made a scene, adamantly demanding an abortion and a divorce. However, Chao Hui turned the tables on her, threatening her with her affair with Zhu Liming and refusing to divorce at all costs. If she insisted on divorcing, he demanded that she give him the car and the house, with no intention of splitting the assets equally. So, while Wang Yao went to the hospital to schedule an abortion, she also filed a lawsuit against Chao Hui. Unfortunately, during the abortion, an accident occurred that damaged her uterine lining, leaving her not only unable to bear children in the future but also paralyzed from the waist down. From then on, she became not only a lifelong carrier of syphilis but also a lifelong wheelchair user. As for Chao Hui, his life didn't fare much better. The man he had been secretly meeting also had a family, and the man's wife was a female producer in the industry who had invested in and produced over a dozen films. This female producer locked Chao Hui in a basement, first forcing him to study various values, then making him learn about propriety, integrity, shame, hygiene, and medical knowledge, even arranging exams. Chao Hui suffered immensely, but compared to being beaten to death, he had no choice but to endure. However, less than 3 months into his studies, a sudden fire broke out near the basement, and the surrounding piles of wood, along with Chao Hui, were burned to ashes. Upon hearing the news, the female producer sighed regretfully. Ah, how could such an accident happen? I had hoped to make him understand human ethics and morality before releasing him. What a pity, now I can only burn it for him. When Wang Yao learned of Chao Hui's death, she was first overjoyed, then burst into tears. She was happy because she no longer had to split the assets with Chao Hui. She cried because she had contracted a host of illnesses because of him, and now that he was dead, there was no one to demand compensation or medical expenses from. It seemed Wang Yao truly was a stingy miser. However, her savior soon arrived. Zhu Liming, now in the first stage of syphilis, stepped forward and declared that as long as Wang Yao was willing to marry him and fulfill the unfulfilled dream he had with his first love substitute, he would take care of her despite her paralysis. After all, they had been attracted to each other before, and now they both had illnesses, so they could look after each other in the future. Wang Yao, moved to tears, hugged Zhu Liming's waist and said with reddened eyes, "Thank you for not looking down on me. I promise to be good to you from now on." But just 6 months into their marriage, Wang Yao died unexpectedly. It was said that Zhu Liming was driving her to the zoo when an accident occurred. Zhu Liming himself was seriously injured and spent a month in the hospital. After Zhu Liming was discharged from the hospital, he suddenly came to me, saying he wanted to make it up to me and marry me. I immediately threw the entire basin of water used for washing customers' hair at him and sneered, "Which sewer wasn't covered properly, letting you crawl out again? What did I warn you about when we broke up? I told you never to show your face in front of me again. Now, not only do you dare to come to my shop, but you also have the nerve to talk about marriage. Take a good look at yourself. You look like a syphilitic wreck. Just having you in my shop is bad luck. Get out of here right now." Zhu Liming wiped the water off his face and tried to defend himself. Jingjing, I'm a human being too, there's no need to be so harsh with your words. I almost laughed at his audacity. It's clear this is your first time being human, you've perfectly avoided all the traits of a normal person. Not only are my words harsh, but I also hit people even uglier. With that, I grabbed the broom used for sweeping hair and swung it at him, hitting him squarely in the face. Zhu Liming, like a beaten and frightened stray dog, could only drag his feet and dodge in a pathetic manner until he completely disappeared around the street corner. Not long after, news came that he had been arrested for insurance fraud. It turned out that, to get revenge on Wang Yao, he had pretended to forgive her and marry her while secretly purchasing multiple insurance policies, but he was too impatient. Within less than half a year, he had Wang Yao killed under the guise of an accident, and then rushed to file various insurance claims. Of course, the insurance company and the investigators weren't fools. Upon investigation, they discovered that the car accident that had also landed him in the hospital was actually a carefully orchestrated scheme to kill his wife and commit insurance fraud. I gasped in shock. No wonder he had suddenly come to propose to me later. He had planned to repeat the same trick. How twisted was his thinking? There was no way I would have agreed. Later, I heard that due to the large amount of insurance fraud involved, he was directly sentenced to 5 years in prison. 5 years is not a short time. Let him suffer slowly in prison. My revenge was finally complete, achieved through the mutual tearing apart of these 3 people, who were already steeped in sin. I let out a long sigh of relief and finally went home, telling my parents, who had been worried about me for nearly 3 months, everything that had happened during this time. When I first returned after being reborn, I had constant nightmares, and they could see it, worrying deeply, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth before my revenge was complete, especially after remembering how, in my previous life, they had passed away shortly after learning of my death. When I mentioned the word rebirth, my father was visibly surprised. After all, he is a surgeon who believes in science above all else, but he still looked at me seriously and said, "As long as it's something my daughter Jingjing says, I believe it." My mother occasionally reads online novels to relieve stress. After hearing my story, her eyes instantly reddened. "Actually, a while ago, I kept having nightmares too. I even dreamed that you were killed by someone. In my dream, I kept kneeling and begging the Bodhisattva, willing to trade 10 years of my life for you to have another chance." Tears instantly streamed down my face. So, my rebirth had actually been bought with my mother's lifespan. I threw myself into my mother's arms, choking back sobs as I asked, "Why are you so foolish? Wouldn't it be better to live a long and healthy life?" My mother wiped away my tears and said softly, "If my daughter were gone, there would be no meaning in my life." Nowadays, many people say that middle-aged women should live independently, not rely on anyone, and not place their hopes on anyone. But you, my daughter, are someone I decided to keep after careful, independent thought. I used to be a dink. You came into this world because of my choice. So I must take responsibility for you. Moreover, because of you, I have gained a new perspective on the world. It is precisely because of you that I cherish and appreciate life even more. From now on, let's live well together as a family." That night, I snuggled in my mother's arms, held my father's hand, and the 3 of us hugged each other tightly, crying our hearts out. After the tears, I personally cooked dinner for my parents. With full stomachs, we nestled into our warm beds and slept peacefully for the first time. The next day, we returned to our respective work and lives. A few weeks later, the community organized a public welfare event, inviting skilled hairdressers like me to volunteer at Qingshan District Prison. I gladly agreed. There, I ran into Zhu Liming. He was standing in line behind another barber, looking emaciated and frail, as if a gust of wind could knock him over. Not long after, a local news report mentioned that a prisoner in Qingshan District Prison had died of illness. Using the alias Zhu Xiaojun, upon inquiry, I confirmed it was indeed Zhu Liming. I felt no pity for him, only that he deserved to die for murdering his wife and attempting insurance fraud. Recalling the harm he had caused me in both my past and present lives, I even felt like opening a bottle of champagne to celebrate. From then on, I slept even more soundly. The barbershop continued to operate normally, and I made an effort to spend more time with my mother, who was about to retire. We traveled together at home and abroad, trying various cuisines, going to the movies, and reading mystery novels together. Recently, my mother and I have become obsessed with Charles Dickens' The Mystery of Edwin Drood, and we simply can't put it down. One weekend, I accompanied my mom to go shopping. That afternoon, We were sitting by the roadside eating oden when suddenly a couple across the street started fighting. The woman was fierce, hitting the thin man until his head bled, all the while shouting, "The gifts you give me never touch my heart, why should I step into your inner world?" Bystanders tried to intervene, and one pregnant woman was so enraged by the scene that she went into labor on the spot and was immediately taken away by an ambulance. My mom wanted to step in and mediate, but I quickly stood up and pulled her back. At the same time, the copy of The Mystery of Edwin Drood in my bag fell out. As I picked it up, I happened to see the strikingly bold words on the page. "The best courtesy is to mind your own business." I handed the book to my mom. After reading it, she fell silent for a long time, then finally smiled and nodded. "Yes, don't lightly interfere in others' karma, let go of the savior complex, and avoid meddling in others' affairs. Once you get involved, you may become responsible for someone else's fate, even risking your own life. So, every day since my rebirth, I've reminded myself, stay in my lane and protect my family, whether others' fates are good or bad. They should no longer have anything to do with us." After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My daughter and nephew were having their 1-month celebration together, and my mother-in-law took out 2 gold bracelets on the spot. My precious granddaughter and my eldest grandson each get one. Xiaoya, you can't say I'm being unfair as a mother-in-law. My mother-in-law happily put the bracelets on the children, but my daughter started crying uncontrollably less than half an hour after wearing the same bracelet, and her wrist was covered in red rashes. I was frantic with worry and immediately called for an ambulance, but my mother-in-law grabbed me and demanded I prove her innocence. Under her unreasonable interference, my daughter died in my arms due to the delayed rescue. Opening my eyes again, I found myself back at that full moon celebration. Such a fine thing should go to your precious grandson. Opening my eyes once more, I saw my mother-in-law smiling warmly as she greeted the relatives coming and going, and a surge of hatred instantly welled up inside me. Without a moment to question whether it was a dream, I took advantage of the crowd and immediately went to my mother-in-law's room to search for those 2 gold bracelets. When I looked at the 2 red jewelry boxes on the table, I examined them carefully and noticed that the logo on one of them was very blurry. At that moment, I made my judgment. The old man is indeed biased. Without much thought, I quickly swapped the 2 gold bracelets and then quietly went out to attend to the guests without anyone noticing. What followed was just the beginning of a good show. Holding my daughter Tian in my arms, I looked at her little face, which I had longed to touch countless times in my dreams, and held back the ache in my heart as I gently soothed her. Soon after, my mother-in-law also returned to the bedroom. She deliberately took out 2 red jewelry boxes and waved them in front of everyone, saying with a proud expression the exact same words as in my previous life, "One for my dear granddaughter and one for my dear grandson." "Xiao you can't say I'm biased as a mother-in-law." My mother-in-law's words were clearly meant for me to hear. She was trying to put me in my place for my sister-in-law's sake. This time, I just smiled politely and didn't let my displeasure show like I had in my previous life. In my previous life, when I heard my mother-in-law say this, I was a bit upset but held back because it was the full-month celebration. At the time, seeing the heavy gold bracelet on my mother-in-law's wrist, I was even a little moved, thinking she genuinely cared for Tian. As a result, Tian wore that gold bracelet for less than half an hour before her arm became red, swollen, and she cried non-stop. Without a second thought, I quickly took off the gold bracelet. However, when my mother-in-law saw it, she immediately grabbed me and started yelling without letting it go. "What are you doing? Are you implying that there's something wrong with my gold bracelet? I had good intentions, but you're treating me like I'm worthless. Explain yourself. It's clearly the child's weak constitution. Now that you've taken off my gold bracelet, do you have some kind of issue with me?" I was completely focused on my daughter, not paying any attention to what she was saying. However, my mother-in-law refused to let it go and kept pulling me back, not allowing me to leave. Just like that, Tian missed the critical rescue window and stopped breathing in my arms. Afterward, my mother-in-law complained that Tian was unlucky and had ruined her precious grandson's full-month celebration. Even my husband sided with his mother, blaming me for not taking good enough care of her. My sister-in-law sneered. Tian's fate was too weak to handle something as precious as gold, which is why this happened. Sister-in-law, don't be too sad, just work harder with my brother to have a big, healthy boy to carry on the family line. Everyone is blaming me, insisting that Tian's accident was my fault. It was only after Tian's incident, following an investigation, that I discovered my mother-in-law had bought a real gold bracelet for her grandson, while what she bought for Tian was fake gold. Because children have delicate skin, the fake gold caused Tian to have an allergic reaction, leading to anaphylactic shock and ultimately resulting in a tragedy. I tried to call the police and reason with my mother-in-law, but everyone united against me, standing on moral high ground to criticize me. Under their psychological manipulation, I completely broke down. While I was in poor mental condition, my husband transferred our marital assets, divorced me, and quickly married his pregnant mistress. I had nothing. Walking by the roadside when I was hit by an out-of-control truck and died on the spot, thinking of my miserable death in my previous life. My heart is filled with intense hatred. Hearing these words again, my expression turned grim. Staring at my mother-in-law's disgusting old face, my mind was filled with the pain of losing Tian in my past life. This time, I won't let her off easily. Mom, what are you talking about? Favoritism isn't something you show off to others. It's best to keep it to yourself. After all, Tian will be calling you her own grandmother in the future. As if she hadn't expected me to push back, my mother-in-law's smile froze on her face, and even Jiang Heshen, standing beside me, deliberately cleared his throat a few times. I glanced at Jiang Heshen beside me, then took a few steps away in disgust. A man like this, who lives off others, was only something my past self was blind enough to run into, a coward who hides when his own daughter is in trouble. There's no point in saying more to someone like that, because I plan to draw a clear line with him once this matter is over. Divorce. My mother-in-law sighed meaningfully. I guess I'm just old and useless now. Come over quickly. This is your grandmother's gift for her granddaughter. I held Tian and stepped forward, keeping a close watch on my mother-in-law's expression and hand movements. When I saw the genuine gold bracelet securely placed on Tian's wrist, I smiled sincerely. Seeing this scene, everyone quickly applauded and began praising my mother-in-law's actions. Xiaoya, you should be happy to have such a mother-in-law. She truly treats Tian exceptionally well. These two bracelets look quite heavy. They must have cost a lot, right? My mother-in-law lifted her head proudly and said, of course, these two bracelets cost me 40 to 50,000 yuan. She really can lie without batting an eye. That fake gold only cost 700 yuan. If there's anyone she's truly willing to spend on, it's probably her eldest grandson. The atmosphere at the full moon celebration was lively. I held Tian and took her to the nursery, handing her over to the nanny. After all, it wouldn't be long before things got chaotic downstairs. I had just settled Tian when I heard Jiang Wan's sharp cry, "What's wrong with the baby?" Since the full moon celebration was held together, relatives from 3 families were all here, making the crowd quite large. Jiang Wan's words immediately drew the attention of most people, who gathered around and began discussing animatedly, "This looks like an allergy. The child's skin is so delicate. Could it be that he was bitten by some insect? It looks quite serious. Hurry and take him to the hospital." This time, the mother-in-law didn't jump out to clarify everything like she did in the past life. Instead, she held her grandson with heartache and began to comfort him. However, no matter how the mother-in-law tried to soothe him, the child continued to cry and fuss, and gradually, even his cries grew faint. Only then did everyone snap out of their daze. "Quick, call an ambulance. The child looks like they're about to go." "It's too late to call now. Hurry and give first aid." Jiang Wan was in tears, staring at the child in a daze, completely devoid of her usual willful demeanor. Watching her like this, I felt not a shred of sympathy. I could still vividly recall how, in my previous life, she had looked down on me from her high perch and casually remarked, Tian was fated to have a short life. Just a girl with no blessings. Sister-in-law, don't be too sad. While you're still young, hurry up and have another chubby boy with my brother. After all, we need to carry on the Jiang family line. Just then, the sound of an ambulance gradually approaching interrupted my thoughts. Jiang Wan and her husband carried the child onto the ambulance and drove off. Who called the ambulance? So timely. Yeah, how could something like this happen at a full moon celebration? My mother-in-law was so anxious that her lips trembled as she shouted at me, "Wang Yu, what are you still doing up there? Hurry down, we need to get to the hospital right away." I found her behavior utterly ridiculous. Her precious son was standing right beside her, yet she always preferred to order me around. I didn't even care about her tone anymore, as there was still a scene waiting to unfold at the hospital. As soon as we reached the hospital entrance, before the car had even come to a complete stop, my mother-in-law forcefully pulled open the door and rushed out. I parked the car and began to stroll leisurely toward the emergency room. Before I could get close, I heard Jiang Wan's almost hysterical questioning, "Mom, why did you buy fake gold? Are you out of your mind?" My brother-in-law, Zhang Ting, was no pushover either. Without a second thought, he grabbed the hair my mother-in-law had specially permed and started slapping her. "Damn it, you old hag, are you trying to make sure I have no son on purpose? If you can't afford it, why pretend? How dare you put fake gold on my son? I'll beat you to death today." Jiang Wan stood by, watching with a pale face, not daring to say a word. I watched from a distance, feeling a bit of secret satisfaction. If the nurse hadn't heard the commotion and stopped the furious Zhang Ting, my mother-in-law would probably have ended up in the hospital too. Zhang Ting stood there fuming, while Jiang Wan didn't even bother to help her staggering mother-in-law, instead launching into another round of endless scolding. "Do you have any idea that if the ambulance hadn't arrived in time, the baby would have been gone?" My mother-in-law was at a loss for words, her aged face filled with self-blame. "Impossible, how could Mom ever harm you? The fake gold was clearly meant for that wretched girl." Hearing this, I sneered inwardly. "What are you all talking about here? Is the baby okay?" Seeing me approach, my mother-in-law immediately fell silent. I pretended to be shocked at the injuries on my mother-in-law's face. "What happened to your face? Who hit you?" The mother-in-law glanced fearfully at Zhang Ting beside her and whispered timidly, "I was in a hurry just now and fell on my own." I sneered inwardly, truly shameless. The slap mark is so red, and she's still pretending to be clueless. Zhang Ting didn't hold back either, roaring directly in front of some relatives. "Fell? Then I'm the one who hit you. How dare you give fake gold to harm my son? If anything happens to my son, I'll kill you today, even if it costs me my life." Zhang Ting was originally a troublemaker when he was young. Jiang Wan, with her love-struck mind, got pregnant before marriage, forcing her mother-in-law to compromise. Over the years, her mother-in-law has always been a bit afraid of him. Now, I actually find Zhang Ting much more agreeable, at least for the time being. "What fake gold, Mom? How could you give your nephew fake gold to wear? Even if you're short on money, you shouldn't put on such a front. Think about how dangerous it is. The one you gave to Tian isn't fake too, is it?" After saying that, I pretended to be frightened and immediately started preparing to call home. My mother-in-law frowned and glared at me with displeasure. "Xiao Yu, don't be so jumpy. How could what I gave Tian be fake gold?" The relatives who had just been somewhat envious instantly changed their expressions, and their gazes toward my mother-in-law became meaningful. My mother-in-law is usually quite flamboyant and always enjoys gossiping about other people's family matters. This time, she really embarrassed herself. She rolled her eyes and said, "It must be that gold shop of mine that cheated me, mixing real and fake items. Once my grandson is better, I'm definitely going to settle the score with them." I was holding back laughter inside, but I kept a serious expression on my face. I immediately picked up my phone and started calling the police. "Mom, don't be afraid of this situation. I'm calling the police right now. A shop that sells such things and causes problems like this should be held responsible. There might even be some compensation involved. You know, Nuan just got married, so saving a little money would definitely be better." Upon hearing my words, my mother-in-law was horrified and immediately rushed over, snatched my phone, and threw it on the ground. "You can't call the police. Who told you to take matters into your own hands?" Zhang Ting also became agitated upon hearing this. "From what you're saying, it sounds like you deliberately gave my son a hard time. I always knew you looked down on me. When I married Jiang Wan, you gave me that stinky face. I'll beat you to death today." Upon hearing Zhang Ting's threat, my mother-in-law quickly took 3 steps and 2 and hid behind me. "How could I possibly harm my precious grandson?" "Zhang Ting, calm down first. Don't get too worked up." Jiang Wan probably couldn't stand the teasing looks from the people around her either, and immediately pulled Zhang Ting aside. "Zhang Ting, stop making a scene." Slap. The sound was crisp and sharp. Jiang Wan was directly knocked to the ground, her head hanging low. No one had expected things to turn out like this. Zhang Ting looked at Jiang Wan lying on the ground and viciously kicked her in the stomach. "What do you think you are, trying to stop me? Are you trying to speak up for your mother? Once you marry into the Zhang family, you live as a Zhang and die as a Zhang's ghost. I'm out there bowing and scraping to earn money to support you. So don't you dare bite the hand that feeds you." Jiang Wan curled up in pain, groaning in agony. Seeing this, my mother-in-law was no longer afraid at all. She immediately pushed me aside and rushed towards Zhang Ting. "Who told you to hit my daughter? I'll fight you to the death today." The scene instantly descended into chaos. some trying to mediate, others joining the fight, and no one even noticed Jiang Nuan lying on the ground. Who dares to hit my son? I followed the sound and looked at the old lady not far away, who had a loud voice and was dragging a plastic bag, looking quite formidable. This must be Jiang Nuan's mother-in-law. Jiang Nuan's mother-in-law was also a tough character. She rushed forward like a cannonball, threw the plastic bag in her hand toward us, and with pinpoint accuracy, grabbed her mother-in-law's hair, starting a one-sided suppression. Seeing the chaotic scene, I took the opportunity to slip away, got in my car, and drove back home. As soon as I got home, I could see Jiang Heshen sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, watching TV, looking completely idle, while Nuan Nuan was wailing loudly in the cradle nearby, and he made no move at all. Hearing the noise at the door, he turned around. Is the child okay? Why didn't mom come back with you? His tone was full of accusation, but I ignored him and immediately hurried over to pick up the child, holding her in my arms to soothe her. Just as I was comforting the child, I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. The gold bracelet that had been on her wrist was gone, and her fair skin was now covered in red marks. No wonder Tian, who is usually so well behaved, was crying so intensely. Seeing that I was ignoring him, he raised his voice and shouted at me, "I'm talking to you. The child won't die from crying. Why do you always spoil her like this?" Hearing his utterly inhumane words, a surge of anger flared up inside me. Just then, the postpartum caregiver came over. Seeing me, she quickly explained, "I'm sorry, Miss Wang, Mr. Jiang just asked me to wash some fruit, and the kitchen is quite far away, so I didn't notice what was happening here for a moment." I gave the child to her and signaled with my eyes for her to go upstairs. Once the confinement nanny had carried the child out of my sight, I turned around and slapped Jiang Heshen across the face. "Wang Yu, have you lost your mind?" I sneered coldly. In the past, I was blind to have married such a despicable creature. But now that my eyes are clear, I will definitely kick him far away. I picked up the fruit plate from the side and threw it at his head. For a moment, he was beaten by me and scurried away, quickly hiding in the room and locking the door. An enraged voice sounded from behind the door, "Wang Yu, you crazy woman, I want a divorce." Divorce? He probably couldn't wait for it, after all, without a reason to divorce me. What would happen to his mistress outside? Ignoring his barking, I directly called a moving company. The moving company was very efficient. Arriving in about half an hour, I directly asked them to move all my things away. If Jiang Heshen doesn't open the door, it's not a problem, just have them kick the door open. After the door was kicked open, Jiang Heshen was so frightened that he screamed frantically, "Wang Yu, what are you doing now? What am I doing? What am I doing? Are you blind? Still asking what I'm doing?" "Moving, of course. What are you moving? Don't you want to be with me anymore?" Looking at his bruised and swollen face, I shrugged helplessly. "Everything is as you see." Seeing me like this, his expression instantly turned ferocious. I turned to the tall, burly movers and said, "If he touches me today, I probably won't be able to pay you the final installment." Hearing me say this, several renovation workers immediately put down their things and stood behind me, staring at Jiang Heshen. Jiang Heshen swallowed hard, and the imposing presence he had just mustered instantly vanished. Watching him seething with anger but not daring to speak, I felt a bit of contempt inside. I took Aunt Zhang and Tian and left right under Jiang Heshen's watchful eyes. Had already owned a small apartment of my own before getting married, and now it came in handy. After busily tidying up the house, it was already around 8 or 9 in the evening, when the confinement nanny, Aunt Zhang, looked at me. She seemed hesitant to speak. "Aunt Wang, if you have something to say, just say it directly. Xiao Yu, I've been taking care of you for a while now, and your mother-in-law and husband really they're not good people. It's good that you've come to your senses now." Looking at Aunt Zhang's relieved expression after she finished speaking, it seems she had been holding those words in for a long time. I think so too, that mother and son really aren't good people. It wasn't until I lay in bed at night that I realized my phone had run out of battery. As soon as I plugged it in and turned it on, it started vibrating non-stop. Taking a closer look, I saw it was all frantic messages from Jiang Heshen. Amidst his jumbled messages, I noticed a missed call from the police station. Everything was just as I had expected. My all-powerful mother-in-law indeed managed to get herself sent to the police station, and even at this point, she didn't want to trouble her precious son. She came to me instead. I lightly tapped the screen to delete the message and, for good measure, blocked Jiang Heshen. This way, I finally enjoyed a few rare days of peace. However, I didn't stay idle during these days. I hired a private investigator to look into Jiang Heshen and that mistress. Before the investigator's results even came in, the mistress couldn't hold back any longer. As I looked at the explicit bed photos sent one after another from an unknown number, I quickly took screenshots without any change in expression. Preserving the evidence, I also found a lawyer to draft the divorce agreement. Over the years, perhaps the best thing that happened was meeting a great boss. Knowing I had decided to divorce, they thoughtfully extended my maternity leave and allowed me to work from home. My private investigator also gave me an unexpected surprise. Jiang Heshen's mistress turned out to be a habitual homewrecker, notorious even in their so-called circle. Now, she just wants to find a decent person to settle down with, and she's found Jiang Heshen. The perfect sucker. Jiang Heshen is a real estate manager. Over the years, under my meticulous care, he has grown into a decent-looking man, so it's no surprise that he caught the eye of that mistress. Looking at the photos sent by the detective, Jiang Heshen really didn't bother to hide anything. He openly took that woman everywhere and even brought her home. No wonder my mother-in-law has been so quiet these days. She's been busy taking care of the precious grandson in the mistress's belly. The next day, I returned home with a lawyer and a team of bodyguards I had specially hired. After all, I wasn't about to let them live comfortably. As soon as I opened the door, I saw that mistress sitting on the sofa watching TV, while Jiang Heshen, who is usually too lazy to even get a drink of water without asking someone else, was fawningly massaging her legs and shoulders. Seeing this scene, I raised my eyebrows in surprise. Both Jiang Heshen and the other woman changed their expressions the moment they saw me. "What are you doing here, Jiang?" Heshen stood up and strode over to me, shielding the mistress behind him. His face was filled with such righteous indignation, as if he were afraid I might harm his beloved. "I came to deliver the divorce papers. You're living quite comfortably, though a bit poor, wearing my pajamas." She really doesn't mind that they're secondhand. Watching Jiang Heshen's face gradually darken, I paused before continuing. "But that's normal, after all. This person is secondhand too." "Enough, Wang Yu." As I watched him grow furious, I took a divorce agreement out of my bag. "Sign it. If there's anything you don't understand, ask my lawyer. He can answer your questions online, and there won't be any consultation fee." Jiang He was about to reach out and take the divorce agreement in deep silence when his mother-in-law suddenly rushed out from somewhere, snatched the divorce agreement away, her face full of vigilance. She was wearing an apron, holding a spatula in one hand, and when she looked at me, her expression was even more hostile. "If you want a divorce, first bring over that little bitch's gold bracelet. She's not even our child anymore. Does she even deserve that gold bracelet?" Golden bracelet. I looked at Jiang Heshen's instantly guilty expression and smiled. It seemed he hadn't told the old woman yet that the golden bracelet had already been taken by him. "That bracelet isn't with me." Hearing me say this, my money-obsessed mother-in-law couldn't sit still any longer and immediately shouted at me. "What did you say, you troublemaker? That's a real bracelet. I don't believe a word of your nonsense. If you don't hand over the bracelet today, I won't let you leave this house. Don't you dare yell at me here. Take a look at the gold on your daughter-in-law's hand. Does it look familiar?" Everyone's gaze turned toward the woman sitting on the sofa, her slender wrist shimmering with gold. As our eyes fell upon her, she shifted slightly, blocking our view. After all, they are mother and son. With just one look from Jiang Heshen, his mother could roughly guess the situation. The bracelet had been remade by Jiang Heshen to please his new lover. Immediately, she shot him a disappointed glare, as if he were hopelessly beyond help, and began carefully examining the divorce terms. "Why should my son leave with nothing? You're being far too calculating with this scheme." Watching the old woman speak with such fervor, I took a step back in disgust, afraid her saliva might spray onto my face. The old woman's flabby flesh trembled with anger. We won't sign. Let's just drag this out. I'd like to see what man would still want you." She tore up the agreement right then and there, gave Jiang Heshen a meaningful look, and plopped down on the floor in front of us, throwing a tantrum. Jiang Heshen also began his masterful performance, frowning with a grim expression. The woman stood up as well, linking arms with the man right in front of me, her face full of provocation. "Mom, what are you doing? So many people are watching. Aren't you embarrassed?" Jiang Heshen gave his mother a meaningful look, his eyes almost twitching, before she finally realized that no one seemed to be taking her bait. I hinted pointedly, "I can wait, but I'm afraid your future daughter-in-law's belly can't. After all, you wouldn't want your precious grandson to be born a bastard, would you?" For a moment, the entire room fell into complete silence. The woman smiled and said, "Sister, my name is Chen Yan. This is all my fault. I never expected to meet brother Jiang, and meeting him has used up all the luck I have in this lifetime." As if moved by her own words, she glanced shyly and timidly at Jiang Heshen. Jiang Heshen's face showed no expression. He hesitated for a moment, then waved his hand and signed the document. The mother-in-law widened her eyes, her lips trembling in disbelief. You prodigal son." Jiang Heshen looked at Chen Yan beside him with deep affection. "Mom, meeting Yan Yan is the greatest fortune of my life. Besides, she's carrying my son in her womb. For her, anything is worth it." Watching their hypocritical act, I almost felt like vomiting. "All right, hurry up and move. My bodyguards are here to keep an eye on things, so keep your hands in check and don't take anything that doesn't belong to you." I finally understood why Jiang Heshen was so confident and why he and my mother-in-law had put on such a big show. Because the old lady's hometown is going to be demolished, this is what the private detective told me. Back then, Chen Yan was also attracted to Jiang Heshen because of this. Jiang Heshen took a deep breath and began busily packing his things. I left a few bodyguards behind and left the place, wandering around the area for a while before finding a real estate agent to list the house for sale. There is a 30-day cooling-off period for divorce, and during this time, they have been relatively well-behaved and haven't bothered me. On the 30th day, my lawyer notified me to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When I arrived with my documents, I saw Jiang Heshen and Chen Yan holding hands, smiling sweetly. "Sis, I hope you don't mind, but Brother Jiang said today is a good day, perfect for getting our marriage certificate." I gave her a faint glance. Her words were as harmless as a gentle scrape. "Hurry up, don't waste my time." Chen Yan, who had originally wanted to show off, immediately snorted coldly, revealing the demeanor of a mistress. "What are you pretending? From now on, Brother Jiang is mine, and you can only watch us be happy together for the rest of your life." I walked straight into the Civil Affairs Bureau and decisively filled out the form. The moment the steel seal was pressed down, my heart finally relaxed completely. Chen Yan couldn't wait to pull Jiang Heshen back to his seat, a strange move that caught the attention of many. I smiled as I tucked the divorce certificate into my bag, then stood before the two of them and said in a clear, steady voice, "I wish you both a lifetime of happiness. After all, you started as the other woman, Chen Yan. Now, let me answer what you just said. I don't pretend, but you can't wrap fire in paper. How long can a path paved with lies last?" The fiery, gossipy gazes instantly converged on the three of us. Even the couple who had been arguing just moments ago fell silent, quietly enjoying the drama. Jiang Heshen was completely baffled, having no idea what we were talking about. Chen Yan looked grim, and for once, there was a hint of panic in her eyes as she glanced at me. "Wang Yu, we're already divorced. Don't try to stir up trouble between me and Yan Yan. I will only love her for the rest of my life." The people around sighed in sympathy, looking at me with pity and at them with disdain. These days, you really see all kinds of people, mistresses openly challenging the rightful wife. Exactly, it's true that when someone has no shame, they become invincible. If you ever dare to find a mistress, I'll break your third leg. My hands suddenly felt a bit itchy, and I slapped Jiang Heshen hard across the face. "This is a wedding gift for you, no need to thank me." I turned and walked away with a flourish. The location of that apartment was quite good, so it sold easily. The buyer was also straightforward and paid in full. With the money, I bought a new 3-bedroom apartment and hired a designer to start decorating it according to my preferred style. Life goes on, and I work hard to earn money for my baby's formula, keeping myself busy and fulfilled. Tian is also very well behaved, spending her days either feeding or sleeping, requiring almost no extra attention from me. The private detective is also quite effective, regularly showing me the fascinating daily lives of my ex-husband's family. Since it's only in the pre-demolition phase, the Jiang Heshen family currently has to rent a place to live. After getting their marriage certificate, Chen Yan truly became a caged bird, tormenting the old lady every day, demanding either bird's nest soup or sea cucumber. Given my ex-mother-in-law's stingy nature, eating like this was akin to taking her life. But for the sake of the child in her belly, she endured it. She could only occasionally pick fights with Chen Yan to vent her unhappiness. Jiang Heshen and the old woman kept the news of the demolition tightly under wraps. Even Jiang Yuan was unaware. I deliberately had someone leak the information to my ex-brother-in-law, Zhang Ting did not disappoint me. After confirming the authenticity of the news, he went to Jiang Heshen's place and caused a huge scene. Accompanied by his troublemaking friends, he smashed and destroyed things, and when that didn't quell his anger, he even began to beat and scold Jiang Yuan right in front of the old woman and her family. At this moment, Zhang Ting's true nature was completely exposed. He was a domestic abuser. Chen Yen was so frightened that she started bleeding and went into premature labor. Listening to my friend's description, I smiled. It was all just deserved. After the weather turned cold, Tian Tian developed a fever. I hurriedly took her to the hospital and held her as she started the 4-drip. Aunt Zhang also felt somewhat guilty. It's all my fault for opening the window and forgetting to close it, which is why Tian Tian got a fever. Aunt Zhang, it's okay, it's not your fault. Please hold her for now, I'll go pay the fee. While waiting in line to pay, I actually spotted a familiar figure, Jiang Heshen. At that moment, he was unshaven and filled with anxiety. I quietly put on my mask and hat, trying to blend into the crowd as much as possible. At that moment, the old woman's piercing voice instantly echoed throughout the first-floor hall. Shen, our Jiang family has an heir. Ha 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 ha. The river's deep surface showed a joyful expression, and his whole body trembled slightly, with faint red spots visible on his skin. I frowned as I watched, a hint of mockery in my eyes, just a little. Something could make him this happy. In my past life, my Tian Tian didn't suffer so miserably, and they must pay the price. After hurriedly paying the fee, I went to take care of Tian Tian. Not long after I had coaxed Tian Tian to sleep, a sudden commotion erupted from upstairs. If you don't give me a house today, I'll make sure you never have a moment's peace. The familiar voice made me freeze in my tracks. Was that Zhang Ting? I was tempted to watch the drama unfold, but I was still concerned about Tian Tian. Just as I was about to sit back down, I heard a scream, Wang Yu. I turned around in astonishment and saw Jiang Wan shouting at me. Jiang Wan was disheveled, with bruises of various shades on her face, looking as if she had been badly beaten. Perhaps if it were any other girl, I might have felt sympathy and offered support, but for Jiang Wan, I felt nothing but hatred in my heart. Everything she is going through now is exactly what she deserves. Jiang Wan cried out shrilly. This is all Wang Yu's scheme. Look down there, that's Wang Yu. She must have come on purpose to watch the show. Don't be fooled by her. No, I admit it was my scheme, but saying I came on purpose to watch the show is going too far. How can you just throw any blame at me? What does it have to do with me? I signaled with my eyes for Aunt Zhang to take Tian Tian and leave first. It looked like I was in for a tough fight here. Jiang Wan charged up to me with an imposing air under everyone's gaze, and the old woman quickly stood by her side to bolster the momentum. Wang Yu, you're just a discarded wife. Did you come here to cause trouble on purpose because you heard I have a grandson? Don't think you can remarry my son this way. I'm telling you, you'll never set foot in my Jiang family's door in this lifetime. Looking at the old woman spewing nonsense, I couldn't help but feel my hands itching. Seeing Jiang Wan still looking smug on the side, a clever idea suddenly struck me. Now that you have a grandson, no wonder you don't even care about your grandson anymore. That's right, after all, you gave a fake gold piece. I bet you still haven't made it up to your precious grandson. Jiang Wan, as your former sister-in-law, I have a piece of advice for you. You really need to be more careful. Now that your mother has a grandson, where is there any room left for you and your mother? I bet they didn't even tell you about this demolition, did they? Look, even I know about things they haven't told you. Can't you see what they're scheming? After hearing my words, Jiang Wan fell into deep thought. Seeing this, the old woman immediately became indignant and said, don't even think about trying to drive a wedge between us. Wan came from my womb. How could she possibly listen to your provocations? I feigned helplessness and shrugged. I came to the hospital only because Tian Tian is sick. I have no interest in your family's messy affairs, and I don't want to know. Jiang Wan grabbed the old woman's clothes and started bringing up old grievances. Was Wang Yu telling the truth? You already knew about the demolition and kept it from me. What do you mean by that? I watched them fight like dogs, smiling as I enjoyed the show. When it came to her own daughter, the old woman clearly didn't have the sharp tongue she'd shown earlier. Wan, don't listen to her nonsense. Your brother and I discussed it only because Zhang Ting was really, that's why we kept it from you. Let's talk about this at home. There are so many people here. But Jiang Wan grew stubborn. Spoiled by the old woman and Jiang Heshen, she immediately began to complain. You're treating them differently just because the new sister-in-law gave birth to a boy. Mom, you're always so biased. You must buy another gold bracelet for your grandson. The family's demolition compensation should be divided equally. That's only fair. She really is as naive as ever. The old woman immediately changed her expression, hesitated as if wanting to say something, then shook off Jiang Wan's hand and walked away. Her attitude said it all. Everyone had watched a good show and couldn't help but sigh. I also left, leaving Jiang Wan standing there in a daze. Not long after, Jiang Heshen was about to get married. Looking at the invitation provocatively sent by Qin Yan, I smiled, having already prepared a big gift for them. This wedding was quite extravagant, probably because they had money and started splurging on the wedding day. I sat properly dressed in a corner, quietly waiting for the show to begin. Many relatives recognized me and immediately changed their expressions, whispering among themselves, I didn't care at all. After all, if the one who sent me the invitation wasn't afraid of embarrassment, I certainly wasn't either. I looked around and noticed that Jiang Yuan's family hadn't shown up, and the old lady didn't seem to care either, happily cradling her grandson in her arms. Jiang Heshen was also in high spirits, entertaining the guests. I idly played with my phone until the wedding ceremony began. As the banquet hall doors slowly opened, and Qin Yan was about to step into the spotlight with a smile, a furious woman suddenly interrupted the crucial moment. You vixen, how dare you get married and ruin someone else's life? Seeing the sudden unexpected turn of events, I immediately perked up with interest. The show is about to begin. Before Qin Yan turned over a new leaf, she had already broken up many families, and the one who probably hated her the most was the woman standing before us, Wu Fang. Wu Fang's family was well off, so they took in a son-in-law. After the son-in-law started supporting Qin Yan, he showered her with designer bags like a flowing stream. Qin Yan, swollen with pride, directly provoked the family at their home. Wu Fang's mother couldn't handle Qin Yan's provocation at the time and suffered a heart attack on the spot. She passed away due to delayed medical treatment. After realizing the trouble she had caused, Qin Yan quickly slipped away and completely disappeared without a trace. After my private investigator found out about this, he directly approached Wu Fang at my signal. My thoughts returned to the present. Looking at the two women entangled before me, I sighed. Truly, one reaps what one sows. Who are you? What are you doing? Qin Yan began to panic the moment she saw Wu Fang. Jiang Heshen quickly rushed forward, intending to pull the woman away, but was immediately pinned to the ground by a group of black-clad bodyguards. Crazy woman, what exactly are you trying to do? With a single glance from Wu Fang, the bodyguards swiftly stepped forward and pulled the woman up. Wu Fang straightened her clothes and said, What am I doing? Just beating up a mistress, that's all. She elegantly took a USB drive from her bag and gestured toward one of the bodyguards. Qin Yan instantly knew what it was and let out a sharp, involuntary scream. No, you can't. In no time, the large screen that had been displaying the couple's wedding photos was now filled with high-definition private photos of Qin Yan. The previously clamorous Jiang Heshen instantly fell silent. For a moment, discussions erupted all around. I was probably one of the only two people at the scene who felt somewhat relieved. Wu Fang sneered coldly. Someone like you deserves to be publicly interrogated 10,000 times. What right do you have to be happy? What about the families you've destroyed? This time, you're still the mistress who managed to take the upper hand, aren't you? It's true, a dog can't change its habit of eating shit. Everyone was talking and gossiping, and for a moment, the expressions directed at the person involved were quite mocking. Jiang Heshen had never been so humiliated in his life. His face flushed red, and he remained silent, but the look he gave Qin Yan was as if he wanted to kill her. Seeing that almost everyone present was aware of the situation, Wu Fang snorted coldly and left the once warm wedding venue. With a group of bodyguards in a grand procession, just as she was about to reach the door, she turned around and delivered the final blow. The groom probably doesn't know yet, but your bride has AIDS. This sentence exploded like a bomb, instantly sparking whispers throughout the wedding venue. Hearing this news, I suddenly remembered the red spots on Jiang Heshen's arm. Looks like he hit the jackpot. Jiang Heshen staggered to his feet and lunged forward, grabbing Qin Yan by the throat. Bitch, you actually played me. Jiang Heshen's expression was frenzied, and Qin Yan was being pressed so hard that she was rolling her eyes, only able to gasp out intermittently, Help, help me, because both of them had AIDS. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. The old woman rushed forward and shouted, Jiang Heshen, snap out of it. Are you trying to strangle her to death? Jiang Heshen was taken aback, and in that moment, a burly man rushed forward and pinned him down. The scene once again descended into chaos. I left the scene with a smile, feeling thoroughly satisfied. Their lives are completely ruined. After settling the final payment with that diligent and dedicated private investigator, I didn't make a point of following up on what happened afterward, but I couldn't stop some enthusiastic relatives and friends from telling me, after the wedding was completely ruined, Jiang Heshen was immediately hospitalized for a checkup, and even the child underwent a paternity test. It Turned out that the child wasn't his either. The old woman's family was completely devastated. When the old woman went home to get money to pay the hospital fees, she discovered that the house had been robbed. Yes, Jiang Yuan, along with Zhang Ting, had stolen the family's property deeds, bank books, and even the old woman's gold jewelry. Stimulated by this, the old woman also suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was immediately taken to the hospital. Now, the whole family is hospitalized. After the examination, Jiang Heshen's first reaction was to divorce Chen Yan. However, Chen Yan, now disgraced, would never let go of Jiang Heshen, her lifeline. The incident was also posted online by someone with ulterior motives, and the company where Jiang Heshen worked fired him. The family was now left with nothing, and they could only report to the police to find Jiang Yuan, but unfortunately, there was no news. The two of them remained entangled, transforming from lovers into bitter adversaries. I continued to live my carefree life, embarking on a new chapter with Tian Tian. I saw Jiang Heshen again at the mall, where he was working as a security guard at the entrance, looking at least 10 years older than before. After finishing a meal with Tian Tian, I saw him in a heated argument with Chen Yan, and the two of them even started fighting in public. Tian Tian blinked her big eyes and looked at me. Mommy, why are the uncle and auntie fighting? Tian Tian's voice was crisp and clear, her innocent tone instantly drawing the attention of many people. Jiang Heshen's voice was filled with excitement, even trembling slightly. Xiaoya, Tian Tian, I remained expressionless. Damn it, I've been stuck with something dirty. I covered Tian Tian's ears and led her toward the door, while behind us, Chen Yan's hysterical screams echoed. Jiang Heshen, don't you dare think about them, look at your own son, cursing my bad luck under my breath. I quickened my pace and left the place, feeling relieved that I would most likely never see them again. Had been promoted and was about to take Tian Tian to live in another city. Everything from the past felt like fleeting clouds. It was all over now. I kissed Tian Tian's cheek. Thankfully, in this life, Mom has kept you safe. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. The 20,000 yuan I had painstakingly saved for tuition was generously donated by my best friend to the school's International Student Foundation. When I broke down and demanded my hard-earned money from her, she retorted with righteous indignation, helping an international friend is an honor for you. Don't be so petty. Ignoring the fact that I was facing the risk of dropping out of school because of it. Even the next day, she repeated the same trick, signing me up for another expensive, one-on-one international study buddy sponsorship program. I became the vain girl in my classmates' eyes who swelled her face to look like a big shot. Look, she donated again. I told you her family must be loaded, and she was just pretending to be poor to fool us. Amidst a chorus of admiration and jealousy, I sharply confronted her. Su Li, give me back my tuition money. Not only did she not testify for me, but she also directly turned me into a laughingstock. Seriously, you already donated it, and now you want to take it back, if you can't handle it. Don't play. I always thought she was stingy. Turns out she spent all her money on men. TSK, truly wanting a good reputation without spending a penny. Utterly hopeless. Public opinion left me with nowhere to hide. No matter how I explained my poverty, it was dismissed as a clumsy performance. A torrent of mockery came crashing down. The counselor talked to me, advising me not to let vanity interfere with my studies, and my classmates avoided me whenever they saw me, even just going to the library. I could hear the whispers behind me. In the end, on the day I was expelled for failing to pay my tuition, I jumped from the rooftop of the teaching building. The moment my body lost weight and began to fall, I saw Su Li's face in the crowd, filled with shock and a hint of satisfaction. She probably never expected that I would actually die, but she had already pushed me to a dead end. Tuition fees, future prospects, reputation, everything I had was destroyed by her. A strong impact struck, and consciousness sank into endless darkness. Wan, what are you spacing out for? A familiar voice exploded in my ear. I snapped my eyes open, my heart pounding wildly. Hurry up, give me your bank card number and password. I'll help you transfer the money to a wealth management account. You can earn hundreds every day. In front of me was the school's study room, and sitting across from me was none other than my best friend, Su Li. She was impatiently urging me on, her eyes gleaming with greed and calculation. I have been reborn. It was the day she had asked for my bank card password. In my previous life, I had been just like this. I had told her all my account passwords without any hesitation. I thought she genuinely had my best interests at heart, wanting to help this poor student earn a bit more pocket money. But the very next day, The school's bulletin board displayed a prestigious list of major donors. My name was prominently featured among them. Donation amount, 20,000 yuan in full. Recipient, University International Student Foundation. And Su Li, as the outstanding organizer of this donation event, stood on stage receiving everyone's praise. She used my hard-earned money to pave a broad and smooth path for herself, yet it pushed me into an abyss of eternal damnation. Looking at Su Li's hand, extended before me, adorned with exquisite red nail polish, I felt nothing but a wave of nausea. The hatred from my past life surged like molten lava in my chest. Wan, seeing that I hadn't responded for a while, Su Li frowned. Her tone carried a hint of displeasure, as if she were bestowing a favor. Are you dumb? I'm doing this for your own good. Others beg me, and I can't be bothered to care. I blinked, concealing the surging hatred in my heart. No need. I enunciated 3 words clearly, yanking my bank card back from her hand, put it in the innermost layer of the backpack. Lin Wan, what do you mean? Su Li's smile on her face was barely holding up. Her voice suddenly rose sharply, as if she hadn't expected me to refuse her. After all, over the past 2 years, I had been almost entirely obedient to her. If she said east, I would never go west. If she said this outfit didn't look good on me, I would take it off immediately, no matter how much I liked it. If she said that guy wasn't good enough for me, I would cut off contact right away, no matter how much I was drawn to him, because my family was poor, and she was generous, often helping me with her old clothes and cosmetic samples that she no longer wanted. I naively believed this was a testament to our friendship. Now I realize it was merely a tool for her to satisfy her own lofty vanity. It doesn't mean anything. I looked at her calmly, closing the book. I just think it's better to keep the money myself. You don't trust me, Lin Wan. We're best friends. Su Li's face turned pale and then flushed, as if she had been deeply insulted. After all the hard work I put into finding investment channels for you, this is how you treat me. She began to use our best friends status to guilt-trip me. I had grown tired of this tactic in my past life. I believe you. I stood up, looking down at her from above, but I trust the bank more. After saying that, I ignored her livid expression, picked up the book, and walked away. Behind me came her furious, low growl. Lin Wan, you just wait. Of course, I would wait, waiting to see how you'll manage without me footing the bill. How will you continue to put on this grand show? I didn't return to the dorm. Instead, I went straight to the bank off campus, report the loss, reissue the card, change the password. After going through the entire process, the original card was completely invalidated until the 20,000 yuan was transferred to the new card and mobile banking was activated. Only after ensuring that every single cent was under my own control did I finally let out a long sigh of relief. 20,000 yuan, even if I worked 3 part-time jobs a day, it took me over half a year to save up. It's my tuition and living expenses for the next year. It's my life, in this lifetime. No one will ever take it from me again. Ah, what can I do if they won't accept my kindness? As soon as I entered the dormitory, Su Li was already there. Without even looking at me, she spoke sarcastically. I was just feeling sorry for her, working herself to death every day for that little bit of money, and now, she's guarding against me as if I were a thief. No need to ask. I knew the protagonist of the story was me. I ignored her. I fiddled with my phone on my own. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Su Li became even more worked up. Wan, after all these years of friendship between us, can't you even trust me a little? As soon as Su Li finished speaking, the gazes of the other 2 roommates immediately turned subtle. That's right, Lin Wan, whenever Su Li has something good, you're always the first one she thinks of. Not only are you ungrateful, but you've also made Lily so upset. Hurry up and apologize to her. Su Li wore an expression that said, I'm hurt, but if you apologize, I'll forgive you. Unfortunately, this time, I had no intention of letting her have her way. How could I possibly keep such a wonderful thing all to myself? I stopped what I was doing. I waved the group chat page on my phone toward her. I just sent the message to the group for you. Everyone can thank you now. My voice was soft, but carried a hint of satisfaction. Before Su Li could react, her phone started ringing incessantly with a series of ding-ding-ding sounds. For a college student, don't even talk about earning a few hundred yuan. Even getting a free cup of Mishua ice cream and tea would make someone secretly happy. Su Li stared at the hundreds of messages that instantly tagged her. Her face turned deathly pale in an instant. Lin Wan, what gives you the right to make decisions for me? She bristled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly on edge. Hurry up and retract that, or go clarify in the group chat that you misheard. How could there possibly be such a good thing in this world? Exactly. I tilted my head, looking completely innocent. If I didn't trust you, I wouldn't believe there could be such a good thing in this world either. You don't have to do anything, you can earn hundreds a day. Only someone as foolish as I was in my past life would believe such nonsense. Su Li's family background is actually quite average. The luxury brands and accessories she uses daily are mostly high-quality knockoffs. I once tried to persuade her to apply for financial aid with me, at least it can alleviate the parents' pressure, but she scolded me for being useless, rushing to be looked down upon. This donation event was also something she desperately took on, even confidently boasting that she could secure major sponsorships. Wan, why are you trying to harm me like this? Su Li's eyes reddened, looking utterly heartbroken by my words. My spot is one of the very few available. I was just trying to do you a favor by recommending you. If you don't appreciate it, fine, but there's no need to treat me like this. Her tears came on cue. In my past life, I had stumbled over this pitiful act of hers more times than I could count. My roommate's gaze shifted from sympathy to suspicion and disdain. Yeah, if you didn't want to do it, you could have just said so. Why did you have to get Lily harassed? Watching them act all righteous and indignant without even knowing the truth, my face also turned cold. How much better are those who fan the flames and add fuel compared to those who start the fire? It was my oversight. I'm sorry, Lily. I tilted my head and put on another expression, but everyone else aside, we're all like family in our dorm. You wouldn't leave them out, would you? Instantly, the accusatory voices fell silent. All eyes were shining brightly as they looked at Su Li. Not a few hundred. Even earning a few dozen a day would be great. Su Li's tongue twisted a few times, but she couldn't spit out a single word. If there were such a profitable project, she would have already made a fortune from it herself. Who would keep it waiting for others? But if she refuses now, who would believe her if she said there's no such thing as a guaranteed, risk-free investment? These people would only think she's unwilling to lend a helping hand. Who will be her pawn from now on? In the end, Su Li accepted everyone's money. One person gave 800, another gave 1,000. Somehow, they managed to scrape together 5 or 6,000 yuan. Hey, where's Wan? By the time they remembered me, I had already slipped out of the dorm. Whether blessings can be shared, I'm not sure, but sharing hardships together definitely makes it easier to defend our rights. Look, that's her, Lin Wan. I heard she's really rich. She's clearly a rich second generation, yet she applies for poverty subsidies every day, pretending to be poor so convincingly. Really, I can't tell, you just don't know, do you? Su Li saw with her own eyes Lin Wan depositing a huge sum of money at the bank, hundreds of thousands. They say Lin Wan is just pretending to be poor to experience life. Damn, are rich people really that good at playing games these days? And she's still competing with us real poor folks for resources. That's just disgusting. The gossip has landed right on my doorstep. I instantly realized that this was Su Li's counterattack. Since she couldn't get my money, she changed her approach and started spreading rumors about me outside. She clearly knows that not only do I have no living expenses, but I also have to send money back to my grandparents who raised me. The scholarship and poverty subsidy are my guarantee to continue my studies. I cannot lose them, so she targeted this, wanting to make me lose everything. What a brilliant move to cut the ground from under someone's feet. Wan, why haven't you been waiting for us lately? Before I could even set off to find her, Su Li had already flaunted herself right in front of me. Ever since the dormitory financing was successfully completed, Su Li suddenly had a group of little followers. Several people surrounded me, exuding an air of, if you don't explain clearly, you're not leaving today. You really are something. With so much money at home, why would you hide it from us? Her voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for the eavesdropping classmates around to hear. I always thought you were struggling, and I actually gave you used bags and clothes. I'm really sorry. Her words seemed like an apology, but in reality, every sentence was confirming the rumor that I was a rich kid pretending to be poor. The surrounding whispers grew even louder. I looked at her face, brimming with smugness, and sneered inwardly. Since you think I'm rich, why don't you help me donate 100,000 for this international student fund drive? I'll withdraw it and give it to you tomorrow. 100,000? Are you kidding me? Not only was Su Li stunned, everyone looked at me as if I were a madman. 100,000 yuan, for ordinary students like us, it was an astronomical sum of money. Yeah, for rich kids like us, what's a mere 100,000 yuan? I stepped closer to her, cornering her between the desk and the crowd. We're best friends, after all. You'll definitely help me with this little thing, right? I deliberately emphasized the words, best friends. Su Li was cornered by me with nowhere to retreat. How could she possibly advance the money first? With my meager assets, it might take years to pay it back, but she had just boasted about seeing me save a large sum of money. How am I supposed to cover that up now? The surrounding classmates also chimed in. Lily, isn't your family quite wealthy too? Why don't you just donate on her behalf for now? Yeah, and since you're in charge of this matter, it would be such a perfect way to handle it. Suli stammered for a long time, unable to come up with a response. Where did she get so much money? Just in the past 2 days, she had been paying out the so-called profits to her roommate from her own pocket, and it was almost killing her with heartache. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became, which led her to come up with this nasty trick to deal with me. Who would have thought that the fire would end up burning her instead? What's wrong? I tilted my head, continuing to feign innocence. Were all the things you said before just lies? I didn't. Suli grew anxious and blurted out, oh, since you've already seen that I have a lot of money, what are you still worried about? I immediately pressed further. This was a linguistic trap. If you're not at ease, we can draw up a written agreement right now. I pressed my advantage, taking a piece of paper and a pen from my backpack and shoving them into her hand. You, Suli, hereby agree to donate 100,000 yuan on my behalf, Lin Wan, to the school's international student foundation. Black and white on paper, no one can deny it. I looked at her, my smile growing even brighter. Just then, the mentor walked in. Suli felt as if she had been granted a great reprieve. She pushed me away and fled as if running for her life. I was content with the peace and quiet, focusing on the lecture, having lived a second life. I understood better than anyone that knowledge and ability were the true foundations of my existence. As for Suli, a mere clown, not worth fearing, I had thought, after this incident, she would at least quiet down for a few days. Little did I know, I had still underestimated her stupidity and malice. In the afternoon, I was summoned to the office by a call from my academic advisor, Professor Zhang. You wanted to see me. The advisor sat behind the desk, her brow furrowed. Lin Wan, please have a seat. She gestured to the chair opposite, her tone grave. My heart skipped a beat, a bad premonition welled up inside me. I called you here today because I want to ask you something. Teacher Zhang looked at me and got straight to the point. Did you sign up for the university's one-on-one International Student Companion funding program? I was stunned. The one-on-one International Student Companion funding program, wasn't this the same high-cost program that Suli signed me up for in my previous life, after I had already generously donated 20,000 yuan? This project, to put it bluntly, it's about sponsoring an international student with high-quality support, fully covering their living expenses and tuition fees. The monthly funding amount is as high as 5,000 yuan. In my previous life, as soon as the news of my application came out, I instantly became the laughingstock of the entire school. Everyone thought I had gone mad just to please the international students, but in this life, I clearly had already prevented Suli from making the donation. How did she? I didn't sign up. I denied it outright. No. Teacher Zhang's frown deepened. She pushed a registration form on the table toward me. Take a look. What is this? I picked up that registration form, and with just one glance, the blood in my entire body almost froze. On the registration form were my name, student ID, address, personal information. Everything was filled out clearly. In the most crucial column for the funding amount, it was clearly written, 5,000 yuan per month, signature, Lin Wan. The handwriting was imitated to perfection, almost indistinguishable from the real thing. Suli, what on earth is she trying to do? She knows perfectly well that I can't come up with that amount of money, so what good does it do her to demand it? Teacher Zhang, I didn't sign this, I urgently explained. Someone is impersonating me. Impersonating you? Teacher Zhang's eyes were filled with suspicion. How bored and wealthy would someone have to be to set you up with thousands of dollars for no reason? I'm curious too. This is a real 5,000 in cold, hard cash, and it was donated in my name. The teacher sighed and handed me the phone. On the screen was a screenshot of a bank transfer amount, 5,000 yuan, transfer note, Lin Wan from the Foreign Languages Department, supporting Korean exchange student Lee Juanha, a small token of appreciation, not meant to be formal. Lee Juanha, it's Lee Juanha again. I understood instantly. Suli, unable to steal my money, used her own funds or money she had swindled from elsewhere. She paid the sponsorship fee in my name on my behalf. The goal was to cement my persona as a rich second generation pretending to be poor, splurging for love, once and for all. Once this matter gets out, I won't be able to explain myself even if I had 100 mouths. After all, the registration form was real, even if the signature was forged, and the transfer records were real as well. In the eyes of everyone, I'm just a vain, gold-digging girl who would even skip school just to chase after a man. When the time comes, my status as a financially disadvantaged student will be revoked, and my financial aid will be taken back, and Sue Lee, the whistleblower who exposed the truth, this good friend who earnestly advises her bestie to turn back, will once again stand on the moral high ground. What a vicious scheme! Each step is intricately linked, every move fatal. The teacher has always believed that you are a diligent and hardworking student. Teacher Zhang took back the phone. Her gaze toward me was somewhat complicated. I never expected that you would also do this for a boy. Is it worth it, teacher? I didn't. All right, you have a few days to think this over before it gets reported. He interrupted me, waving his hand wearily. The school will also conduct an investigation. If it is confirmed that you have deceived the school and falsified your status as a financially disadvantaged student, we will take serious disciplinary action in accordance with the school's rules and regulations. Here we go again, exactly the same as in my previous life. No matter how I explain, no one believes me. Everyone only believes the truth they are willing to accept. I am like a fly trapped in an invisible spider's web. The more I struggle, the tighter I become entangled. Back at the dorm, Suli was chatting and laughing with her roommate while applying a face mask. Seeing me walk in looking utterly dejected, a flicker of smug satisfaction flashed in her eyes. This time, I'll make sure you're finished. Oh, Wan, why do you look so pale today? I didn't speak, just stared at her intently. My gaze seemed as if it could pierce right through her. Suli was somewhat unnerved by my stare, but she still forced herself to keep up the act. I heard you signed up for the one-on-one international study buddy program. I'm so envious of you, but it must cost 5,000 yuan a month, right? She feigned concern, covering her mouth with her hand. Even if your family is wealthy, you shouldn't squander money like this. Is it really worth it, all for a Li Juanhe? Just thinking about how she spent 5,000 just to frame me, the despair of being forced to jump off a building in my past life, the suffocation of being drowned in public opinion, the agony of having destroyed everything with my own hands erupted completely at this moment. Slap! I summoned all my strength and slapped him. How dare you hit me? Suli was completely stunned. She covered her rapidly swelling cheek, looking at me in disbelief. Why wouldn't I dare? I sneered coldly and slapped her again with the back of my hand. Slap! This slap was even heavier than the last. Not only do I dare to hit you, I dare to kill you. Like a crazed beast, I grabbed Suli by the hair and slammed her hard onto the ground, using my life as a stepping stone for your own advancement. Was that fun for you? I rode on top of her, striking left and right. Slap after slap rained down. The anger accumulated over 2 lifetimes was all unleashed in this moment. Speak, why are you so vicious? What have I ever done to you that you would ruin me like this? Suli was completely defenseless against my blows. She could only let out a piercing scream. Lin Wan, you're insane. Help, murder. Lin Wan, calm down, let go now, stop fighting, or something serious is really going to happen. When the others pulled me away, I was still clutching a handful of hair in my hand. Suli's hair was disheveled, and her cheeks were swollen high. Blood was still seeping from the corner of her mouth, looking as wretched as a stray dog. Seeing her like this, the violent rage in my heart finally subsided a little. What, so eager to set us up? Panting heavily, I suddenly laughed. Perfect, I was just worried about finding a reason to get close to him. You really did a good deed with bad intentions. 3 days, my name is still posted on the bulletin board of the International Student Management Office, with a monthly donation of 5,000 on the surface. I remain still, in reality, every night after work. I carry bags full of nearly expired bread, squatting downstairs at the men's dormitory until Li Juanhe appeared before me. I can't afford that sponsorship. I shoved the 2 bags of bread in my hands toward him, but the convenience store is short on night shift staff, 180 yuan a night, meals included. If you're willing, I can recommend you. Li Juanhe froze. He asked me in stiff Chinese if I was joking. I pointed to my own faded, washed-out sleeve cuffs. I really don't have any money. For several days in a row, I either found him odd jobs or shared the last-minute deals I snagged from my part-time gigs with him. Every time, I could feel a shadowy figure flickering behind me. Sure enough, new rumors soon began to spread. Suli finally couldn't hold back any longer. Snap, snap, they took a bunch of candid photos of me, then they fed all the photos into an AI. It generated a pile of low-quality, indecent videos. At 3 in the morning, the campus network crashed. Student groups, both local and school-wide, are flooded with shocking scandal. international student trades sleep for financial support, scandalous deals on campus, gold digger reveals her true colors, fake impoverished student versus real rich girl, all wrong, just a gold digger. The video views kept skyrocketing. Lee Junha's face was blurred, but mine was so clear you could even see the teardrop mole at the corner of my eye. I calmly saved each video one by one, including the IDs in the comments section that made lewd remarks and spread rumors about me. I saved them all, then dial 911 to call the police. The next day, Sue Lee gathered with her classmates in the classroom, and of course, the topic of discussion was me. No way, how dare she still come to school, she really has no shame, sharing a dorm with her is just bad luck. She always says she's going to work part-time, but I think she's just fooling around with men. Goodness, it's so dirty, isn't she afraid? Before I even stepped into the classroom, I was met with a wave of malice. Even the police officer behind me couldn't help but frown. Among those voices were people who usually chatted and laughed with me. They clearly know what kind of person I am, yet, because they fear being categorized on my side, they eagerly join others in fabricating stories about me to prove their stance, because we were close. Ouch, you actually have the nerve to come to class. Sue Lee was full of confidence until she saw the police behind me. Her voice suddenly caught in her throat, changing its tone. Police officers. I opened the police report and held it up for the whole class to see, spreading rumors, slander, forging signatures, suspected fraud, all in one go. Sue Lee's lips twitched. I didn't take a single cent from you. What fraud are you talking about? That's because I was smart enough not to fall for it, not because you didn't try. I pulled up my chat history with her. Internal investment opportunities, guaranteed returns. I'm only telling you because I consider you a sister. Let me translate that for everyone. This is the classic setup for a scam. The police officer behind him took out a recording device. He snapped a few photos. Come with us, we need to take your statement at the station. A collective gasp echoed through the classroom. Sue Lee's lips were pale, but she was still trying to hold on. Officer, I really didn't commit fraud. I was just joking with her, that's all. I turned to look at the people in the dorm. She didn't just say it to me alone. Didn't she trick all of you too? The roommates chimed in one after another, offering excuses. We did indeed participate, but we can testify that she wasn't lying. That's right, she gave us rebates every day. I think you're just jealous and can't stand seeing us make money. The police officer rubbed his temples. The efforts to promote anti-fraud awareness are still insufficient. This time, several people from the dormitory were taken to the police station together. The commotion was so big that even the school leadership got involved. Soon, the police discovered that the synthetic video originated from Sue Lee's phone, and in just one night, the view count had already surpassed 1 million, which was sufficient to file a case. At the same time, they also found out that there was no so-called financial investment project at all. The money the roommate had placed with Sue Lee, a portion of it was returned to her as profit. The other half, along with her own savings, was transferred to the school's one-on-one international student companionship program. Sue Lee's face turned deathly pale, all to avoid being labeled a fraud. She stammered as she corrected herself. I'll return all the principal to them. The project was something I wanted to fund myself. I just accidentally filled in Lin Wan's name by mistake. The school ultimately reinstated my financial aid eligibility and cleared my name. The dormitory mates thought the cashback was free money and had already spent it lavishly. Now not only is the money gone, they have also been singled out by the school as a typical case for anti-fraud publicity, and Sue Lee had her credits deducted. She now works 3 part-time jobs every day, busier than I am, because she not only gave IOUs to her dorm mates but also took on a monthly debt of 5,000 yuan. Yes, to avoid leaving a record in front of the arriving leaders, she admitted that she herself was the donor. Ding. 2,500 yuan has been deposited into your bank card. I looked at the money Lee Jun had transferred over on time every month. Suddenly, I remembered the conversation from our first meeting. Classmate Lee, are you interested in collaborating? I can get you a sponsorship of 5,000 yuan per month, and we'll split it 50-50. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.